Welcome along to another Ladbrokes Social Club on the way. We've got a full debrief after yesterday's League Cup final. Celtic victorious again. There were 4 more games played in the Ladbrokes Premiership as well, and a new manager appointed. We've got that to talk about. Michael Stewart's in the club. Mark Wilson here as well this week.
Thank you.
And we've got Santa's little helper.
Try to think of elf puns. That's not even an elf. Get my agent on the phone. I've no idea how I end up in these situations. Let's get this over with.
Well, I know exactly why you end up in these situations. Bring in Daniel Coe.
Here we go. Alright guys.
It's
Alright. Looking good, mate.
Panto season officially open.
I can't believe I'm actually dressed like this, guys.
You look a wee bit hot. Or is that just makeup?
As I should say, and you say today, I'll be reporting back to Santa, so just
Okay.
just keep it.
We've got an
Very
elf
flattering.
elf on the shelf in the house.
Aye,
I'm not sure you'd fit on the shelf.
Definitely not.
Aye,
Mind you, you've got some big shelves. We saw that last week. What a house. What's happened?
Treble last week, absolute nightmare. I hold Christian Doidge and Hibs personally responsible. We'll talk about it a bit more. We'll go through it now quickly.
Yeah, why not?
Motherwell to win at St Mirren, which came in. Hibs to win at Ross County.
Backfired.
They 1-0 up at half time.
Why is it Deutsch's fault though?
Because he had a good chance to make it 2-0.
What about the defending?
I know, that's true.
But Deutsch gets blamed for everything.
I know.
I should say I took both teams to score in the League Cup final yesterday as well, and it never came in. So I think I do deserve this elf suit apparently. So.
Yeah, you do. We'll come back to your treble later on, this week's treble.
Absolutely.
But we should mention your goalie. Brechin, victorious this weekend. You found a new way to win.
Exactly. Working on it all week, mate. All week getting the goalie to try and launch it up the pitch, but it was long overdue. We needed a wee bit of luck. And you don't
4-2
get much,
against Stirling, that's right, isn't it?
You don't get much more luck when your goalie's scoring, do you? His own box.
If anyone's not seen it, what happened?
It just ended up at his feet. I cleverly shouted launch it. Just didn't try and play the Pep Guardiola style, and he went all the way through, bounced, their goalie runs it, bounces over him. Disaster for the young boy, but I wasn't that bothered.
Fantastic. And as for you, well, you've been arguing again on Twitter this week.
Arguing?
I don't argue.
Another
I don't
spat
argue.
with you, Murray. What's happened now?
Well, he made a silly comment. I thought I'd pull him up about it. He was having a wee personal dig at Jack Ross from the week before, and then his team gubbed at Aberdeen, so
We keep
there wasn't too many mistakes.
Keep a close eye on all the Twitter, all the guests. We
We could do like a Vegas style bout.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, the KSI sort of thing.
He's tried to accuse me of personal, agendas in the past, and I don't have personal agendas, but he quite clearly was pushing one there.
He was. We'll leave that to one side. Let's get on to the game then. The League Cup final. So much social media reaction, of course. Celtic fans on a real high. Rangers fans devastation.
Absolutely. As far as social media is concerned, it will be known as the Fraser Forster final. I think that's the best place to start. Celtic fans, literally the words Fraser Forster and world class was trending in Glasgow at one point last night, and I think that sums it up pretty well. Miles there, world class, end of discussion. Safe to say, getting a lot of love, Fraser Forster on social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. The Southampton tweet at the bottom there as well, Mark. As I said yesterday, though, the better he plays, the more expensive he's going to become. I mean, do you think Celtic can keep him? Do you think they'll find a way?
I think they will find a way. I think he's been that good. He's made such a difference. European football as well. He's done it in the big stage as well. He's got such a good relationship with Neil Lennon. I was there first time around when Neil brought him, and the two of them got on great. And he was one of the first names that Neil wanted to bring. It shows he trusts him. And I know Celtic are used to spending 9 million, 10 million quid on strikers, but it's just as important at the other end, and that proved that yesterday.
Yeah, we've seen that this season. The Great Wall. That tweet says it all.
I mean, look, he's been top drawer. There's no doubt about it. But for me, I think the bigger improvement in the Celtic team is in front of him, and I think that's helped massively. Getting the centre half partnership sorted, because I mean, look, I think Craig Gordon was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Fraser Forster has come in, and he certainly has. He's been, as I said, he's been top drawer, and his performance yesterday was sensational.
You just mentioned the defence in front of him making a difference. Julien, of course, getting a lot of love, and particularly because he got the winning goal. But also at the end of the game, Mark, I think he came into his own.
Oh, no wonder, he's just scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
And an Old Firm Cup final.
He was heading everything out, wasn't he, when they were under pressure?
Listen, they were great. Michael's right. I think getting that partnership spot on has obviously helped Celtic this year. But Julian started kind of rocky at the start of his Celtic career. You know, he wasn't seen for a number of weeks and everybody wondered where he is. But you sign someone for £7 million, you expect big performances and big results, and it wasn't the Ryan Kent £7 million that everybody expected to win the cup final. It was at the other side of the park.
Yeah, what the fans say.
Talk tweet there, Neil Roddick, Julian is the next Virgil. Fact, don't know about that. And if I draw your attention,
It's a stretch.
It is a bit of a stretch. The bottom tweet, Michael Deans, my first son is going to be called Julian. I wonder 9 months from now there'll be a lot of Frasers and Julians, I imagine.
There's a bit of conception.
And the man himself has taken to social media as well.
Unacceptable first name for a kid, isn't it, as a boy. Julian.
Apologies
All
to
the
all of
Julians
you out
watching
there
it.
called
Switching
Julian.
off now.
It's like
That's another few
it's
thousand gone.
like Hillary. It's not a boy's name, is it?
That's my middle name.
Aye. Well, it's not a boy's name.
But he looked to be offside.
He did look
Now, this is not VAR that you've produced here, but you do have a circle and a line.
I think it was largely accepted he was offside.
Well, he is.
But I think it's a lot closer than you think. If you look at the first picture, Hillander there, he's so in line with him, you can't even see him in the second picture. So he's in between them.
But
I looked at it yesterday.
he was off.
I looked at it yesterday. Is that somebody trying to like highlight an arm? You do realise you can't score one.
I know.
I thought the same thing.
I should say, I do agree, he is offside.
No, he is factually off.
Aye.
The lines were drawn.
But I do think it's a lot closer than people think.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even realise Hillander was in between the Celtic defenders, so I think it's worth pointing out.
Yeah, another defender as well, being praised, despite the fact young Jeremy Frimpong saw red in the game. Before that, I mean, he was outstanding again. 18 still.
I thought he was great. It didn't surprise me one bit when I seen his name on the starting lineup. It didn't surprise me that he was probably Celtic's best player, outfield player, apart from Fraser Foster. You know, every time he got the ball, he looked composed. I don't think Kent went by him once. You know, and he was unfortunate getting sent off. You know, the break of the ball falls to Morelos. And he took a gamble bringing him in. But by the way, it's paid off. He gets sent off. It was unfortunate, but Celtic won the game 1-0 and it worked out all right.
Did you hear his interview after?
I heard
I mean,
bits of it,
he's
yeah.
great to listen
He's
to,
a happy
isn't he?
fella, isn't he?
Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
What about the Bolton tweet a second ago there as well?
Mancunian Dutchman.
It's amazing though, isn't it? He's just high on life. Look, you enjoyed this one, didn't you?
Celtic Madrid on Twitter, this is simultaneously praising Frimpong and also having a wee dig at Morelos. Celtic are appealing Frimpong's red card on the basis it was Morelos and therefore not a goal scoring opportunity. That's harsh, innit?
It
harsh.
That's deep. That's deep.
And you mentioned that obviously his post-match interview.
Yeah.
Frimpong caught a lot of love on social media as well. Kieran Devlin of The Athletic at the mix zone, and all I can hear from the dressing room is Jeremy Frimpong repeatedly yelling, "Oh my days!"
Yeah, he said that a few times after.
Yep.
Edouard, of course, was on the bench to start the game, came on and right away made the difference.
Well, it was a masterstroke for Neil Lennon. Nobody really knew how fit he was. You seen just before half-time, Neil having a word with him, and I thought, is he actually thinking about putting him on at half-time? There's no doubt Celtic needed something. They needed a focal point up front. Lewis Morgan, as well as he's done these previous 3 games, just wasn't that for Celtic. They couldn't get out. And you seen it when Edouard came on, his first involvement, he holds it up, he spins Goldson, and it's a foul. Even when the ball comes in, and it is offside, but who's in the middle of the goal? Edouard, making a nuisance of himself, occupying centre-halves, and of course Julian tucks it in. So he makes such a difference, and I think he actually looked half fit. He didn't look to run away from players, but you've seen the 2 Rangers centre-halves going, we're up against a different target here.
Well, the fact was, like, you know, the free kick that they scored from, you can just tell Goldson was anxious, and he was almost trying to put down a marker.
I was going to say, that's exactly what he was doing.
Aye.
Of course, in the end,
He's paid the price for it.
didn't work well.
So the sheer fact that, never mind Edouard holding the ball in, and you know, in the first instance and doing well, just his presence there was unsettling to the Rangers players, and you know, there's big issue for Celtic if Edouard was to get seriously injured.
Griffiths wasn't even in the squad.
Now, the thing is, I can understand, you know, Griffiths not being in the squad there because he's clearly not 100% fit either. And when you looked at that bench, you had Rogic, Cham, Mikey Johnson, Edouard. So who of them were you going to drop to put Lee Griffiths on the bench? And then you would have 2, you know, strikers on there that weren't 100% fit. So you can sort of understand why he wasn't on the bench.
Anything else from Celtic, tweet-wise?
I mean, just on Morelos, obviously the big comparison with Morelos and Edouard yesterday. Bobby, the top tweeter here, Edouard would have backed a hat-trick today if he was in Morelos' boots. I think that's, again, it's harsh on Morelos, but I do think it's
Is that one a fact?
a fair enough point.
Is anything a fact? It's hard to know. Chris Sutton's been involved as well. Not like him.
It's not like Chris Sutton
on the wind-up
to wind up Rangers fans, but there he was yesterday. And they are still coming, I think, alluding to Rangers. Moussa Dembele chipped in with a tweet as well, as you can see. Not hard to kind of see what he's getting at.
On to Rangers then. What are their fans saying? I mean, it must have been so hard to take for them yesterday, Mark, when you think everything. Yeah. It was in their hands in so many ways. No Edouard for Celtic, and then the nature of the game, Rangers playing so well and Celtic not at their best. Then down to 10 men, they win a penalty. I mean, it felt like everything was on their side.
Well, I mean, if you're a Rangers fan, you must be starting to think, if you can't beat Celtic on a day like that, where you're right, they've not got a recognised left back, they've not got a recognised striker, they played so poorly. You create 19 attempts on goal or something like that. Your main striker has 7 in rows and a penalty, and you still can't beat Celtic. You must be thinking, well, when's it going to happen in a meaningful game?
Elizabeth is taking it badly.
Elizabeth here in the bottom tweet, she's taking it really well. Celtic cheated as their goal they scored was offside. Rangers should have had a penalty for when Brown kicked the back of Morelos in his leg. A bunch of cheats and the officials were so wrong. Rangers could have won. I think that sums it up quite well. A lot of Rangers fans.
There's a lot of that out there, as you'd expect.
Deliberately offside, knowing he was going to get away with it. Cheat. Yeah.
The official was in on it.
That's rubbing it in.
The penalty shouts.
No.
Has Elizabeth got a point on that one? Morelos, Brown?
Not for me. No. I mean, look, Scott Brown, there's no doubt there's a bit of contact, but what makes it a little bit of a pantomime is that if you're getting kicked, you're going to go in that direction. Morelos actually dives back that way into where he's been kicked. So it's not a penalty kick, that one, for me. There was a bit of contact, but not enough for him to go down.
Morelos tweets as well, loads of them. I mean, Rangers fans still in love with Morelos.
A lot of Rangers fans were critical of him, but a lot of Rangers fans have kind of came to his rescue as well.
And rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the season he's had.
25 goals, obviously, this season. Katic loyal in the top tweet here. Morelos has been brilliant this season, but we saw last year's Morelos today, missed too many chances and started diving about and getting involved. He'll be a top player, but he needs to make sure he doesn't go back to his old habits.
Is that a real photo of Chris McLaughlin there?
Chris McLaughlin on the bottom tweet. Morelos should have scored today, but let's be honest, he's carried us all season. I think that's an important point. We can't rely on one player. Players like Arfield, Aribo, Kent need to step up. We are toothless when Morelos doesn't score.
See, Kent is a big one because he's such a talented player, but as you saw earlier on with some of the tweets as well and talking about it, Frimpong, you could tell psychologically it was one of those where I think Frimpong is the type of player he revels in it. He's looking forward to going up against Kent and saying, you're not going to beat me.
But what else do you have on Rangers? £7 million and you bring them as match winners. Those are the games you bring Kent to the club for. He was anonymous.
The matches that define
and it's probably right. Morelos misses 7 or 8 chances, but surely a Kent and Arfield, somebody else, Aribo's got to create or be in the right position to take someone else.
Those 3 players that Chris McLaughlin points out, they were.
Not the Chris McLaughlin.
No, it's not.
We don't think.
No, it doesn't look like it. Those 3 guys were quiet. They were. Aribo was very quiet. Arfield dropping back a little bit deeper into like a proper midfield role. He was quiet as well.
Elsewhere in Rangers, another big talking point, obviously, is the second half penalty, which obviously Morelos ended up taking. We saw Tavernier grab the ball. CG Novo, who's a big Rangers fan on Twitter, can't deal with folk blaming Tav for the loss. He was one of our better players. As much as we love him, Morelos missed 4 golden chances and missed a penalty that he clearly wanted to take. Big man had a bad game.
Just briefly on this, because I think a lot's been said.
Yeah.
Did they do the right thing at the penalty?
Stephen Gerrard comes out after the game, says that he made the decision.
Yeah, he said it was designated prior.
Yeah, the weird thing for me was why the right back there runs all the way to get the ball and then hands it over. Why even be anywhere near that? Just let Morelos get on with it. So I found that strange. It did look like Tavernier was going to take it. I mean, why?
Maybe he was waiting to find out if Morelos was going to come and get the ball, because Morelos wasn't scoring in that game, was he? He wasn't taking his chances. So you wonder at that point, did he?
So you think
if you're designated penalty taker like Stephen Gerrard says,
you think Gerrard's at it?
I just found it strange, Michael, that he ran all the way from right back to go and get that ball.
What are you smiling at? You obviously think he is.
What? That Gerrard's at it? Yeah. No, I don't. I think, when you watched it happening in real time, you think to yourself, Tavernier's bottled it. He's missed a few penalties. A cup final, big pressure. He's bottled it and handed the penalty over to Morelos, who clearly wasn't confident because he'd missed so many chances.
Yeah.
But when you hear what Gerrard said about it, you can't. For me, you can't turn around and say that it's anything other than exactly what Gerrard said. Yeah. They've decided before the game, and that puts it to bed for me.
There's definitely Mark's kind of conspiracy theory, if you like. It's definitely got some traction on Twitter. Daniel in the top tweet there. Reckon Gerrard is trying to save Tavernier's blushes, saying it was decided beforehand. Morelos would take any pens. Tavernier had the ball in his hand, gave it to him to take. Why would he go and grab the ball if he knew Morelos would be taking it? That's kind of what you're saying, Matt.
I'm about to phone Alex Rae for some reaction, but just a bit of positivity from Rangers fans as well. A lot of tweets about Ryan Jack.
Ryan Jack, another really good performance from yesterday. Taylor, the top tweet, totally love Ryan Jack. He plays for more than just one jersey in his back. His day will come. A couple of other tweets on it. Again, Chris McLaughlin, who's getting a lot of airtime here. Ryan Jack was again outstanding. Build the tweet around him. He gets it.
Build the tweet around them.
Build the team around. Did I say tweet?
You might have noticed your tweets have been replaced by Alex Rae. What a lovely Christmas tree.
Thanks very much, Darrell. I was trying to bring a bit of festivity to the show today.
Which one of your living rooms is that in?
This is the West Wing, my friend.
Good. You saw Michael Stewart's house last week. I mean, these mansions are getting bigger and bigger. Anyway, how are you today? How are you feeling?
I'm devastated. I was so disappointed having seen my team do so well. The big criticism would be that they didn't capitalise on the opportunities. Some great opportunities to score. Fraser Forster was immense, and you have to say, Celtic, you have dug in, resolve, desire to win. It was impressive from their perspective, and I think it's a bitter pill to swallow when you look at the overall picture and in the manner with the offside goal as well. So there was a lot of things to factor in, Darrell.
The biggest question now, Alex, is will there be any knock-on effect? I think everyone's wondering, is this going to affect their league season? Huge game on Thursday night in Europe as well, and then right off the back of that, a tough away game domestically.
Yeah. I think when you look at their overall play, you look back to Aberdeen last week, there's periods within games that they're dominating, they're very strong. If I'm being critical, they have to put games to bed. They have to recover very quickly. This will take them a day or two at least to overcome this, because I think the disappointments across the board, you speak to some fans today, some friends, they're very much of the same opinion, but we have to kind of galvanise ourselves. Steven Gerrard and the backroom staff have a big job to try and get these guys on the front foot, get into young boys, and then they have Motherwell away, which will be difficult. They're having some good form of late as well, so they really have to pick themselves off the ground, and they have to go again, because they do not want to have a hangover getting into the young boys, because they're in a terrific position to top that group, which will be beneficial long term because of the knockout stages, the teams that get knocked out of the Champions League. And then you also factor in that you're going to Motherwell, so they have to bounce back and bounce back quickly.
Final one as well, because we've got lots to get through in the show, but
sure.
Do you think there's any knock-on effect from Morelos himself, particularly in this fixture?
Oh yeah, well listen, there's no two ways about it. The longer this goes on, the Celtic fans were mocking him yesterday at the final whistle, and it's difficult because we're all human beings. It's going to affect him. There's no two ways about that. The quicker he gets a goal again, get himself up and running, he'll be disappointed, because on the big stage yesterday, he didn't quite come up with the goods, but he has done time after time. And when you look at the goals, I think it's 25 goals in 30 games or so, 31 games. That's a remarkable return. So for me, it's just about dusting himself off again, get that goal, and none so than the Europa League game on Thursday night.
Yeah, and before I let you go, by the way, I've got something to show you.
Oh my God. Look, were you out this weekend with that one? That's better than your normal gear.
Aye, that's true. I didn't recognise you with the Peaky Blinders plaque.
Yeah, well here, listen, I'll tell you what, 7 hours in that gantry, that rain dropping on your head, it takes its toll, son, so I had to put the hat on yesterday.
I believe it.
Tell me about it. On that note, we'll speak to you later on. Thanks very much.
Enjoy the show, boys.
Speak to you
Cheers.
soon, all the best. I think you've actually got a Peaky Blinder example of Alex yesterday.
We do. Hold on just a moment.
Somewhere there is it. Look at that.
There he is. Regretting last night's Vindaloo. All fun facts, which is a really funny account if you don't follow it. You mentioned, obviously, Alex mentioned the big game coming up. Premiership game of the week.
Yeah, our game of the week. Look at the odds on Motherwell. 6-1, Michael.
Oh.
They are, which is very reasonable, I think.
What does that mean?
It means they're the outsiders in terms of the betting, but it's there might be some, as you would say, good value in that.
That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for
Very
you
good
to explain it.
He was giving you the platform.
But no, that's brilliant. But at Fir Park as well, 6-1, and even 15-4 the draw. Decent odds as well.
It's not. I mean, Alec makes a good point there. That obviously dropping points against Aberdeen from a commanding position, losing the cup final in the circumstances they have, the European tie, they're in a great position to go through and top if they were to go out.
Yeah.
And then this game, the next game coming up, the Motherwell game away from home, that could be 4 games that define a season.
It'd be dragging yourself off the canvas in some ways.
It's 4 games that would define a season almost.
Yeah.
So the game on Thursday is huge, as is this game in the Premiership.
Loads more I want to fly through. Look, Motherwell, obviously another victory at the weekend against Hearts. Now, if you look at the social media activity, Michael, Hearts fans before the game, right after the game, absolutely fuming again. We'll tell the story of the day, but first of all, Daniel, this is obviously just after the game was finished, I think.
This is Neil Hogg, if I draw your attention to the bottom tweet, as you say, just after the game, Darrell. Is there really much point in the Hearts playing games until they get a new manager? Awful performance after awful performance. I think, obviously, before Stendhal was appointed and after, very different mood amongst Hearts fans.
Yeah, but look, they needed a bit of positivity. It was a weird time to announce a new manager. Austin McPhee standing after the game, addressing the media, and it sounded as if he had no clue this was about to happen.
I did think that afterwards, because clearly this wasn't organised post-match. No. This was obviously known pre-match. And it looks, as you said, from the interviews from Austin McPhee, and it looked from the performance of the Hearts players, that they were just none the wiser. And I was thinking to myself, surely you could have briefed the team and the management team privately,
because you're automatically
to try and give them a bit of positivity,
yeah.
Which it didn't appear to do. I mean, putting all that to one side, it has been brutal, but the Hearts fans seem to be very happy with this appointment. The Kaiser is in town, and Stendhal's got a big job on his hands, because the length of time this has taken, things have become worse at Hearts, and there's been a real focus on a lot of the negative sides of the Hearts team. There are positives there, but a lot of the negatives have come to the fore. There's players that aren't performing well. There's a lack of, everything that's deficient in the Hearts team is now really quite apparent. Whereas for Hibs, the appointment being made quickly, everything's flipped on its head and it's positive now. They're 10 points ahead of Hearts, whereas when the sackings were made, they were neck and neck effectively.
Jambo, Kev, I think sums up. Time to move on and pull together Jambos. That's what they need to do. So just on this one briefly, have they got it right? Do you think they've got it right based on what this man's done so far?
Time will tell. He's not got a huge track record in management.
From what you've heard so far, what do you think?
The brief things that we see, he did really well to get Barnes up at the first time of asking. But he's going to want, you hear that he wants to play a high pressing game. He's going to have to make some additions to the Hearts team, because they've not got the energy in the midfield in particular to do that.
What did you think of the Hearts statement?
I thought, obviously, Hearts, if anyone hasn't seen it, had a little dig at saying how he came above Jack Ross's Sunderland in the Championship.
Yeah, Barnsley. Yeah.
I just think if you're where Hearts are in the league, you're asking for trouble doing stuff like that, aren't you? Really?
I mean, look.
Did you think it was funny?
It is. I mean, look, from the official statement, you do think to yourself, you're better just keeping quiet. But it is a bit funny. It lacks a bit of class, but it is a bit funny. It's a bit like Craig Levine's Natural Order stuff.
It's a bit.
And Craig Levine's still dealing with some potential transfers at the club.
Absolute madness.
Right, let's not go there. We don't have enough time. You mentioned Hibs a minute ago. Big win for them against Aberdeen at the weekend.
But, I mean, like Michael said, as soon as Jack's come in, he's just turned things around so quickly. It's the power of appointing a good manager, and Jack Ross was top of the list in many fans for Hibs and Hearts.
Yeah.
But
Martin Boyle,
terrific. Martin Boyle, I mean, been through the mill with his injuries, but I mean, what about the pass as well for Scott Allen for the first goal, and what a finish. But I mean, Aberdeen missed some chances in that game, but everything going right so far for Jack Ross.
Absolutely, and you can see so many tweets about Martin Boyle. As for Aberdeen, I think we've got some tweets from their fans as well. Look, they just got a draw against Rangers midweek, and there was some happy Aberdeen fans after that. It's gone the other way very quickly again.
Absolutely. Don's Daily, which is a big account on Twitter, how we went from a comeback draw against Rangers to lose against the worst Hibs side in years, 3-0. McInnes amuses me. As you say, Darrell, I think the first defeat since October.
Yeah.
It was 3 wins and a draw in November. A spirited display against Rangers. But the fans really in social media, the mood is not.
I wouldn't say
good.
it's the worst Hibs side in years.
No, that's not.
Because they're imbalanced.
Yeah.
Good attacking players, and you go away from home, and there's obviously been an upturn, as we've just spoken about in Hibs. But the thing for
Millie Willer at the top.
I was just going to say, old Millie up the top. There is a feeling amongst the Aberdeen fans that bubbles under the surface all the time.
Yeah.
And a couple of bad results, and it comes flooding back. Obviously, there were 7 unbeaten up until this game.
Yeah.
But previously, because of the drubbing that they took off of Celtic, it was all there again. Derek, 7 games unbeaten, another bad result, it all comes bubbling to the surface.
Michael's right, the constant mood in social media is just on Derek McInnes' back, and I almost don't know what he has to do to kind of win him over again.
Go on another 7-game run, I think. St Mirren, happy fans, huge victory for them against Hamilton.
Listen, a real monkey on the back for Jim Goodwin. You know, the lack of goals they're scoring, and especially away from home. But you've got to say they deserved it. The way that they played, you know, the chances they created, and he'll be delighted because there was a few fans grumbling and saying it wasn't good enough. But I think, you know, I think Jim's going to get things right there. A lot of the stuff he's been doing is right without getting the breaks. And on Saturday, they certainly got it. It was a fantastic strike for a young man.
St Mirren banter at the bottom, I think, summing it up.
Only gripe about today is that we didn't score more. We absolutely battered them in the second half. Still, it's a win, it's an away win, and it's a place we never win, so we'll bloody well take it.
3 off the woodwork as well in the game, so it could have been more. As for Kilmarnock, away at Livingston, I mean, first of all, brilliant win for Livingston in the match, but the Killie fans who were celebrating Alessio a few weeks ago, fuming after this one, Michael.
It's not great. Not great. They're not in a fantastic run of form either. I think the victory against Hearts is the only one in a good spell.
Neil Campbell at the top though says this has been coming, not good enough. Was it coming? That kind of performance? I'm not sure. I know you said not been in great form, but we didn't see a 3-0 coming, did we?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think that, you know, a 3-0. But perhaps he's just meaning the fact that, you know, a bad result away from home. It's not. It's the problem for Kilmarnock is that, you know, from the team last season they've lost Jordan Jones, who was, you know, a real talent, and Malumbu. These are two guys at the top end of the park that can really hurt opponents, and they're still, I think, strong back to middle, but the top end you see Brophy looks isolated at times, and you know Chris Burke was phenomenal, but you can't keep going to Chris Burke and expecting him to come up with the goods.
No, whole change there. Right, on to your treble.
Absolutely. Just very quickly, the treble last week. I think Motherwell, it was obviously to win at St Mirren, Hibs to win at Ross County, and both teams to score.
You blew that one. Is this one better?
It didn't come in, as you might well guess. We've got another treble lined up for you. It's much better. Here it is. Right, my first choice in this week's treble is Aberdeen to beat Hamilton at home. Aberdeen have only lost once at home all season, and that was to Celtic. Aberdeen home games average 3.2 goals per game, and Hamilton haven't beat anyone away from home at all this season so far. Aberdeen, home win, that's my first choice. Second up, Hearts at home at St Johnstone. Hearts, new appointment with Daniel Stendhal in charge. Feel good factor back at Tynecastle, and it's a massive game. Hearts, my second choice. Third choice, we go to the Sunday game, Celtic at home to Hibs. I know Celtic are obviously pretty formidable at home, but Hibs haven't failed to score in a Premiership fixture since the 14th of September. So I think both teams to score in that one. You put all three together, it would normally be 4-1, but the good guys at Ladbrokes have boosted it this week to make it 5-1, and you can't afford not to put this on. Get involved, get stuck in, because it's coming in.
Another bold shout from you. I guess the tough one to sort of second guess is Hibs to score at Celtic Park. Do you fancy that?
Well, I mean, if you're looking to try and make some good money, then I would say that's not a bad punt. You know?
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that.
And decent odds.
I mean, the last thing.
Not to say that I'd put my reputation on it.
No, and Mark definitely won't be backing it because he's not allowed to bet. Should we have a look at the fixtures at the weekend?
Absolutely.
Because Mark, you know, I always enjoy when you pick me a couple of winners.
Yeah, okay.
Which you're not going to back.
Yeah. No, definitely not going to back. No. I think St Mirren. I think St Mirren at the bottom there. I fancy Jim to build on what he did at Hamilton. I think they'll beat Livy. I do agree that Hearts will beat St Johnstone with his manager, and I can't really see Hamilton doing anything at Pittodrie. I would say Aberdeen up there as well, and I'll go a draw for that Ross County Killie game.
Okay.
Bottom ones, Celtic to win at home. I reckon Motherwell will take something from that game.
Do you think Hibs will score at Parkhead?
Definitely not.
Oh, okay, well that could be your
Your
treble.
treble's
The
up in
next
smoke.
The next forfeit's are rotten as well.
It's a shocker.
It's a shocker. He's got no idea what it is too.
The last thing I'd want you to do is look silly, Darrell. Do you know what I mean? So,
Well, you
sure
linking
it'll come
into your own treble there on that camera, looking like that. Honestly, that's something I'll never forget.
I know.
Right, onwards. Scots doing well down south. One name on Twitter all weekend after the Manchester derby, McTominay. Michael, outstanding.
Yep. He's a real dominant performer in the middle of the park, and when he's been out from the Man United side in the previous month or so, they've missed him.
Yeah.
You know, Pereira and Fred in the middle of the park, not good enough. Scott McTominay he's holding his own in there. He's
Look at
becoming one of the
Statman
main
Dave
guys.
at the top there, Michael. Look at the numbers against the big six when
Well,
he's
there
played.
you go. Aye, exactly.
It's amazing that.
You know, physically he's a real big athlete, and he's composed on the ball. He's a bit of an all-round midfielder, and he obviously, again, I go back to the Scotland team. To me, he's somebody that anchors that midfield really well.
Big competition in there. It's someone else who was making waves Duncan Ferguson getting his chance at Everton. I mean, what a great shot that was, him celebrating with the ball boy.
Incredible.
And it's pure emotion.
Listen, that's what fans want to see, don't they? A club legend, you know, taking over, getting a win, but then relating to the fans with the wee ball boy. Terrific. I mean, you wonder, is it his time now to commit the shadows there?
Should they give it to him?
Well,
at least till the end of the season.
I mean, he knows the club. I think he's got the respect of the players right away.
You
can do much worse
look
than
at
these
Adam
guys
Bate.
that go round the merry-go-round and just get job after job. Why not give it to somebody different?
Adam Bate making the point, 37 tackles against Chelsea, the most they've made in a game, I think I read, in a decade. I mean, that's an instant effect, Michael.
Yeah, you read it there.
No, before the tweet, I'd seen it at the weekend. That's my point. And yes, Michael's got a point there. I didn't read the end of that tweet. But, hey, I was just pointing out for you.
I mean, look, when that tells you all you need to know with regards to, you know, Duncan Ferguson having an impact on the players, they're running around and they're putting their bodies on the line. It's a simple stat, but it tells you so much. And I mean, look, he's been there such a long time behind the scenes in the coaching staff. He's a legend as a player. You've got to say that, well, I think the top one's saying there, if they beat Man United, then these are the sorts of things, when somebody's in interim charge, if they pick up results, and they're also somebody that comes from a good standing anyway, they're going to put themselves in a great position to get it.
You know, an intimidating character. If you don't follow his orders and he's standing over you,
if he says run around and tackle, you run around and tackle. Right, just a brief mention of the European games during the week. I know you've got some odds for us as well. Celtic, nothing to play for apart from the coefficient in Romania on Thursday.
Absolutely, but 13-5 to get a win in Romania, which not bad value. We don't know what kind of team they'll field. If you fancy them to beat Cluj, you're 23-20 at home, 21-10 the draw.
Massive game for Rangers against Young Boys on Thursday. They need a point to progress. Winning, they win the group. And we've already said, is there going to be any follow-on from the loss against Celtic? But the odds, what do they tell us?
Rangers, understandably, Rangers are the favourites. 4-5 at home to get a win. 13-5, as you say, Darrell, they only need a draw. So 13-5, you fancy the draw. If you fancy Young Boys to spring a surprise, 13-4.
How do you see it? You can't go into the game trying to play for a draw,
I was just
can
going to say, it's very difficult, you know, to have that sort of mindset. You don't have that mindset, you know, but I think Rangers are, I would imagine they're going to have enough, especially at home at Ibrox. They've been very impressive in Europe this season. I would imagine that Rangers will get themselves through, but it is a big game, as I've spoken about already, for all those reasons. These next two are huge.
Yeah, certainly are. We've got a 1-2 free bet. It is a 1-2 free bet, Michael, just so you know.
Good. That always catches me out as well. I should say we've actually got the fixtures here, they're not graphic, but Southampton versus West Ham, Man United, Everton, and Arsenal, Man City. So as we normally we say every week, it's free to play. You get one correct, it's £1 free bet, two a fiver, and three £100 cash.
Have you won yet?
I've not won personally, funnily enough.
No, me neither.
Funnily enough.
I keep on trying. Love a free bet.
But I don't know what you think. What do you think about that? Southampton, West Ham, Man United, Everton, Arsenal, Man City. Correct scores.
I'm bamboozled by the
because
names.
they're not on the screen, you can't remember who's playing. Forget it. We're out of time anyway.
Sounds good.
Hashtag Ladbrokes Social Club. And I promise you next week, he's not going to dress like that. See you again soon. Bye-bye for now.